Hello, Happy New Year, Happy 2026. Today I'm going to do an audio quality comparison between the DJI Mic 3 and DJI Mic 2 to see which one produces better audio quality results. So right now I'm recording the audio with the DJI Mic 3. It's plugged in directly to my camera, the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II, and I've disabled the low cut filter. I've set the audio preset to regular, basically the standard preset, and I've adjusted the audio gain with the help of ChatGPT because honestly it's a bit confusing on how to properly set the audio levels with wireless microphones, because you basically have three separate devices in which you can adjust the audio gain. You have the camera, the transmitter, and the receiver, and it always confuses me on how to set the gain on each device. So I used ChatGPT to help me with this, and what it told me to do is to set the gain on the camera as low as possible, which I did. I set it to +1, and then it told me to set the gain on the transmitter until I saw the audio levels on the receiver's screen are roughly showing yellow color. That's exactly what I did. I set it to +8 to achieve this. And finally, it told me to set the gain on the receiver until I saw the audio meters on the camera itself showing -12, -6 dB, something like this. And I had to set the gain on the receiver to +5 to achieve this. Now, I'm not really sure if this is the best way to set the gain levels on, on the transmitter, receiver, and the camera. If you know a better way, let us know down below, but that's basically what ChatGPT told me to do. Now, also, I'm not going to enhance this audio in any way in post-production. The only thing I'm going to do is maybe adjust the audio gain if necessary to get proper audio levels, but I'm not going to apply any equalization, any compression. It's going to be as raw as possible to, make it as fair as possible, if you will. Now switch to the DJI Mic 2, and I'm using the same settings. I've disabled the low cut filter, and this microphone does not have any audio presets, and I've used the same method to adjust the audio gain, but with this microphone, I had to boost the signal on the transmitter a bit higher to get proper audio levels, and I set it to +12 on the transmitter instead of +8 on the Mic 3, which means that the DJI Mic 2 is a bit quieter than the Mic 3 out of the box. I'm not really sure if this is better or worse, but that's definitely something worth considering. All right, and now I am back to the Mic 3, and I want to test out the audio presets on this microphone. So again, right now I'm using the regular audio preset on the Mic 3. Testing the regular audio preset on the DJI Mic 3. And now I've switched to the rich audio preset, which should boost the bass a little bit in the audio. This is how the rich audio preset sounds like on the DJI Mic 3. And finally, here is how the bright audio preset sounds like on the DJI Mic 3, which should make the voice a bit more crispy and clear, if you will. So again, this is how the bright audio preset sounds like on the DJI Mic 3. And just for comparison, here is again how the DJI Mic 2 sounds like. This microphone does not have any audio presets available. So this is how it sounds like, basically out of the box without doing any enhancements in post-production compared to the DJI Mic 3. All right, and now let's test out the built-in 32-bit float recorders on these microphones. This is how the DJI Mic 3 sounds like, and this is how the DJI Mic 2 sounds like. Again, this is an audio sample from the DJI Mic 3 without doing any enhancements in post-production, and this is how the DJI Mic 2 sounds like without doing any enhancements in post-production. Now, a very important thing to consider also with these microphones is that the Mic 3 has a slightly higher SPL of 126 dB compared to only 120 dB on the Mic 2. And basically what it means is that if you're recording loud sounds, the Mic 3 will have a bit more headroom without getting distortion in the audio. So even though these microphones have built-in 32-bit float recorders with a wide dynamic range, you can still distort the audio if the sound source is very loud. But with the Mic 3, you have a bit more headroom compared to the Mic 2. All right, here is another sample from the 32-bit float recorders on these microphones. I have a fountain beside me in here. You can also kind of hear how both of these microphones reject the background audio, if you will. So this is how the DJI Mic 3 sounds like compared to the DJI Mic 2. Again, this is the DJI Mic 3 and this is the DJI Mic 2. Testing the audio quality from the DJI Mic 3. Testing the audio quality from the DJI Mic 2. All right, and I want to test out how these microphones compare to each other when you do add some effects in post-production like equalization and compression to see which one sounds better. But of course, this will vary, the results will vary depending on the person who's going to edit the audio. I'm not the best audio editor out there, but I do know a little bit how to equalize and compress the audio. Regardless, this is how the DJI Mic 3 sounds like, with a bit of compression and equalization added in post-production in DaVinci Resolve. And now here is how the DJI Mic 2 sounds like, with some equalization and compression added in DaVinci Resolve. Testing the DJI Mic 3 with some effects applied. Testing the DJI Mic 2 with also some effects applied. Another important factor I want to mention with the Mic 2 compared to the Mic 3 is that the Mic 2 is significantly heavier than the Mic 3. And this was one of the main reasons I actually upgraded to the Mic 3, because sometimes what would happen to me with the Mic 2 is that I would record the audio, I would have it mounted with the magnets like so on my shirt, and then during the recording I would not pay attention and the microphone would be like this. Because it's so heavy, it would basically flip inwards towards me and I would get this kind of an audio quality, basically muffled audio. And something like this probably will never happen with the Mic 3 because it is significantly lighter and smaller than the Mic 2. And also, if you want to reposition the angle of the microphone to get better audio quality results, you can quickly do so with the Mic 3. Just flip it around. Whereas with the Mic 2, you have to remove the magnet and manually, reposition the transmitter basically. So again, it is a bit more convenient with the Mic 3 compared to the Mic 2. All right, and now let's do a slight wind test with these microphones while riding a motorbike pretty slowly, not too fast, maybe like 25-30 kilometers an hour, not faster than this, to see which microphone rejects wind better and also suppresses the noise from the engine of the motorbike. So here is how the DJI Mic 3 sounds like. Testing the DJI Mic 3. And by the way, I'm using the built-in 32-bit float recorders on these microphones. And now here is how the DJI Mic 2 sounds like. Testing the DJI Mic 2 wireless microphone. Now I've switched again to the DJI Mic 3. Testing the DJI Mic 3 wireless microphone without doing any enhancements in post-production. And now I have switched to the DJI Mic 2. Testing the DJI Mic 2 wireless microphone to see how it compares to the DJI Mic 3. All right, and finally, I want to do a slight comparison in an indoor environment, not treated. Let's see how these microphones compare to each other in this kind of a situation. This is, by the way, my hotel room for this night. So here is how the DJI Mic 3 sounds like without doing any enhancements in post-production. Testing the DJI Mic 3. And now here is how the DJI Mic 2 sounds like without doing any enhancements in post-production. Testing, 1, 2, 3, test. And now I just want to show you where I'm staying for the night. It's a pretty cool location. Beautiful views. Check this out. It's pretty awesome. And I'm gonna come back home, review the audio from these microphones and let you know what I think about the audio quality of the Mic 3 and if it's worth upgrading from the Mic 2, at least in terms of the overall audio quality. Alright, so I've had my time reviewing the audio samples that I've shared with you in this video from the Mic 2 and Mic 3. And honestly, for the most part, I preferred how the Mic 2 sounded like compared to the Mic 3. It was especially noticeable to me during the indoor test in the hotel room and also when I was on the motorbike. The Mic 2 just had crispier and punchier audio quality than the Mic 3 out of the box. When I did add a bit of equalization and compression to the audio, they sounded very close to each other. But if we talk about raw audio quality, I think the Mic 2 delivers significantly better results than the Mic 3 in most cases. But I am still gonna keep the Mic 3 over the Mic 2, and it's mainly because it is significantly smaller and lighter than the Mic 2, which makes it more convenient for me to mount it like this on my shirt because it's not going to wobble and move around as much as the Mic 2. And again, this was actually the main reason I was considering getting the Mic 3 over the Mic 2. But if you are thinking about upgrading to the Mic 3 from the 2 and you think it's going to improve your sound quality, it is not going to improve anything. Actually, it's a downgrade in some ways, like I said. But if you want something smaller and lighter, it's definitely something worth considering. Also, do keep in mind that the Mic 3 does not have a USB-C port to easily transfer the files from the built-in recorder to your phone, computer, or tablet. Also, you do not get a 3.5mm jack to plug in an external microphone. And again, the sound quality, at least to my ears, is slightly worse out of the box than the Mic 2. But maybe I'm wrong. You let me know down below what you think. But to my ears, Mic 2 out of the box sounds significantly better than the Mic 3. Thanks for watching.